Good evening, everybody, and welcome to SAFRL Tier 1 on a Monday night. We're in Season 5, Round 8. We're in Singapore. I got it right this time. Just a slight delay at the beginning of the broadcast. Got into the comms box just in time. Thanks for everyone that sent me an invite. Already a few cars getting out on circuit. 15 drivers so far in the session. That's not good. I can hear myself. Singapore can be a very tricky qualifying session. Make a mistake, hit one of these barriers, you're going to start at the back of the field on a track I wouldn't want to be coming through the field on. Not the easiest track to pass. So easy to simply understeer into one of these walls. One positive for all the drivers out there is they don't need to worry about the weather. Dry weather expected for the rest of the evening. Already a few people watching the stream. Welcome to everyone who's watching. We are in Singapore. One of the longest circuits on the calendar, 5 kilometers long, 23 corners in total. It's 13 to the left, 10 to the right. And obviously no elevation. This track as flat as can be. Because it's in the middle of a city. Of course, this was also Formula One's first night race. Remember, up until now we have had quite the season. Cheddar is your championship leader for the AlphaTauri, and his teammate Don Rabico in P2 in the championship, also AlphaTauri. Those two drivers separated by 24 points, and then obviously AlphaTauri with that sort of result, they're leading the constructors as well. Constructors lead is 52 points, so even if both AlphaTauris were not to finish today and the Mercedes got a 1-2, they still wouldn't pass AlphaTauri in the constructors. Massive lead, 52 points. I think the most you can get on a weekend is 43. That's if you get a 1-2 and a fastest lap. It's Midas. Let's bring up some info on your screens. Don't think we'll see anything interesting in the tyre column. Presume everybody's out on softs. Confirmation, everybody is out on the soft compound. First lap times have started coming in. Fastest so far, provisional pole, 128.8. That goes to Neil. We have Brands P2, Cheddar, that championship leader. His first lap was a 129.7, and it's good enough for P3. Shane, Alfa Romeo, P4, Tiago, P5 with a 130.4. We've got Shark P6, Convoy P7, Buffelsfontein P8, and then dented dented skull in P9. Don Rabico out on circuit. He's looking for his first time lap of the evening. He has gone purple in sector 2. So all eyes on your championship runner-up so far. Currently in P2. 24 points adrift from the championship leader, and he goes P2 with a 129 flat. Midas emerging from the pits. Simps is out on a run. He's gone quickly through sector 2. That's a purple sector 2, so keep your eyes on the McLaren driver. Could be lighting up your timing screens. Second Alfa Romeo, yet to set a lap time. Ruan, he does have that one lap already on the softs without a lap time, so that tells me his first run was abandoned. And then F1 Logic, no lap time from him. And as I say, his name is actually just retired from the session, so he'll be starting from the back of the field. Maybe not the worst idea. When starting on a street track, you want to start at the front or the back. In the middle, things can get tricky. Don Rabico, he is on his way back to the pits. He set that 129 flat, was good enough for P2. Not Shumi on his initial run in the Red Bull. Got P7, 130.4. Two McLarens on track, one of them have set a lap time. Well, she has set a lap time. It was good enough for P10, and he's actually entering the pit lane as we speak. His teammate still looking for that first timed lap of the evening. Nobody has been able to get close enough to that initial run from Neil. The only driver in the 28 so far tonight. Thanks, Tion. Appreciate that. Logic has a quali ban, so that will explain why he is starting from the back of the field. Man with the quali ban has a teammate. It's Midas. Yet to set a lap time. We follow the only Mercedes representative here in qualifying. What can Midas come up with? And there we go. Simps finally gets that lap time in at 128.7. Stops right on the line. And he'll be happy with that. Just fast enough. Actually, just by a tenth. 128.7. Close times at the front. 4/10 cover the top three. It's Midas looking for his first lap time of the evening. Going to go around the final corner now onto the main straight, and we'll see what he can come up with. Good enough for the second row. Midas goes P4. 129.1. Things getting close now at the front. Conboy, he is on a second run, as is Bifflesfontein, looking to improve on their 130.6, 130.8. Good enough for 11 and 12. They're both out on a lap time early. Thiago also out on a second run early on. Don't want to start there in the middle of the field. You want to get up higher in the field. So when you see yourself slipping into P8, P9, it's time to get back out there and have another go. This is... There we go. Convoy, P7. provisional pole sitter. He's on his way back to the pits. Neil, who was in provisional pole ever since he put down his initial lap time, he's finally been demoted to P2 and he has reacted to it. He's come out immediately. And he is going to try to take back that pole position. Let's ride on board with him. One of the more difficult racetracks on the calendar. Just ask Red Bull. Obviously, when we debuted this circuit, it was the fastest street circuit in the world. That is no longer the case. That has since been beaten by Baku, and then Miami, and now Vegas. Every single street track we get gets that little quicker. We're riding with Neil, currently in P2, on a second attempt at a fast lap. Gets a good exit there on the hairpin, so important to get a good exit there. Leads on to a straight in the race. That's going to be crucial. It's going to be a DRS zone. Quite a few people watching the stream live. Great to have everybody here. Yeah, Jeddah is the fastest average speed over 1 lap, but Singapore, when it first debuted on the F1 calendar, it was the only street track besides Monaco, hence the stat of fastest street track clearly went to Singapore. But every track that's come out is getting that little bit quicker, and if you've seen the straights on Vegas, that should be quite an interesting one. Engines being pushed to their absolute limits and in extremely cold conditions. Brand new surface. Tires you're not going to be able to warm up. It's going to be an interesting scenario. Neil was able to retake that position. He found an extra 2/10, put him up back into P1. Sims has reacted. He's on an outlap. Don Rabico, his first lap time was good enough for P2 at the time. He's been demoted to P3. See what he can come up with. Championship leader. He is in the pits, being wheeled back into his garage. Currently in P6. Good evening, everyone who's watching. Theon, welcome to the stream. Was one of the loyal watchers of the stream. Neil returning to the pits. He's got that 128.6. Probably still enough time for one more run. Let's ride with the Mercedes. Currently P5, it's Midas, his teammate, all the way down in P17 due to a quali ban. It's going to be two very different races for the Mercedes drivers. One starting towards the back, one starting right at the back of the field, one starting towards the front of the field. Here we go. I was expecting to see him tap off there. Thought he might get an invalidated. Got just lucky. Took just enough curb on the inside. Let's see what Midas can come up with. That's quickest in P. That's quickest in Sector 2. I think Midas is about to come up with something special. Currently in the 29s. He's not in the 28s club just yet. Just 4 cars in the 28s. I think Midas is going to crash that party pretty soon. Goes over the line. Yes, he does. And by quite the margin, he goes up 28.620. It's good enough for P1. and just 0.02 of a second cover your front row. Then 1/10 of a second covers your second row. It's right now with the Alfa Romeo. Shane currently P11. Best lap time of a 1:30.2. Looking to get himself up the field. Don't want to start there in P11. That is a personal best sector 1 for him, so is a better lap. Found 2/10 in the first sector. Drivers at the top, we have Simps, who I thought was on a fast lap. Has he pulled out of that? Seems like his battery's flat. I thought he was on a fast lap. There we go, now back with Shane. And no improvement. Two Alfa Romeos now together in P11 and 12. It's Midas' fantastic lap time, 1:28.620, doing just enough. But Neil is on another outlap, and he knows any improvement can put him on pole. Doesn't need to be a big one. Just 0.02 of a second will do. And he'll know exactly what he got wrong on that previous lap. He'll know exactly where the traction could have been better. He'll know exactly where the braking could have been better. And he's going to be focusing on that one point of the racetrack, just to find that 0.02 of a second that will put him on pole position. Don't write this man out of the equation though. Don Rabico, championship leader, currently P4. Everyone except it's Midas, your pole sitter, is out on track. See what Neil can do. Neil was on provisional pole for much of the session. It was taken away by Simps. He took it back, and then Midas took it away from him. Neil is still on a mission, wants that pole position back, but he may run into a bit of traffic now. Everybody trying to get those final runs in. Got a McLaren in front of him. Hopefully it will not hinder his final attempt. Don Rabico also on a final attempt, and look at that, he's gone fastest in sector 2. Don Rabico currently P4, 1:28.8. He's going to have to find himself about 2.5 if he wants to take pole position. Not a lot of time, and like I said with the previous driver, he knows exactly what he did wrong on the previous lap. There we go, good enough. Goes 1/10 faster, 1:28.5. Neil does improve, but not enough. 1:28.602. He did find the 200s he needed, but Don Rabico went and put the gauntlet just a little higher. Shane going over the line slowly. I think he's obviously given up on that lap. And I believe that is the end of qualifying. For season 5, round 8 in Singapore. So it will be an intriguing race. Safety cars are definitely to be expected. So easy to make a mistake here. No runoff area to speak of. And the track not really as wide as one would think. There are your official results for qualifying. Don Rabico, your championship leader, takes pole position with a 1:28.5. Then Neil in P2, Midas P3, Simps P4, Convoy 5th, Brand 6th, Tiago 7th. We have Django in 8th, Notsumi 9th, Cheddar in 10th, Shark 11, Shane 12, Ruan 13. We have Welsh 14, Fontaine 15, Dented Skull 16, and Logic with the quali ban making up the field in P17. Just having a little background noise there, hope that sorts out the problem. Drivers now getting their final preparations ready, making their final decisions, what compound to start on. Are you expecting safety cars? In anticipation, do you underfuel? By how much? How much of a gamble do you take? We will be underway shortly. Remember, here at SAFRL we have Tier 1 and Tier 2. Tier 2 on a Wednesday, also to be streamed live this week. So, there we go. 5 red lights are out and we're underway. AlphaTauri leads the way from Neil. Hopefully we have a clean turn 1. Let's go down the field. Ooh, and we have an AlphaTauri. We have an AlphaTauri, I believe, that went sideways. It's not Don Rabico, he leads the race. There we go, it was an AlphaTauri. Cheddar right at the back of the field, and a broken McLaren of Welsh. So on lap 1 of 31, we are under virtual safety car, and don't be too surprised if it triggers a full safety car. We'll soon see what this does lead to, just a virtual for now. Obviously just lap 1. This won't be affecting the driver's strategies in any way. A pretty lengthy virtual safety car. Don Rabico leads the way. And we have an AlphaTauri at the front of the field, and we have an AlphaTauri at the rear of the field. The two AlphaTauri garages having very different days. Let's bring up some telemetry. There we go. We're back underway. Don Rabico leads the way from Neil. And Neil thought about it into turn 1 and then Midas just hung it around the outside. Rabico just hung it around the outside. It's really close here in the front in the opening laps of the race. So important not to run into anybody. Towards the back of the field, Convoy, he's coming into the pits with what I can only imagine was for some wing repair. Very early to be making any sort of pit stop. Don Rabico leads the way, Neil in P2, just 0.4 of a second is the gap. No DRS at the moment. It's Midas in P3. Thiag holding on in P4, he's made up 3 positions since the start of the race. Brand's in P5. Sims has lost out somewhat. He's down in P6, losing 2 positions since the start of the race. Django, he's in P7. Shane, he's made up a few positions. Look at that, 4 positions since the start of the race. So he's won quite nicely on the start there. He's in P8, not Shumi. P9. And Logic. What a start. We've missed that completely. Logic P10, he's made up 7 positions. Remember, that was the Mercedes-Benz with the quali band, started at the back of the field. And I told you maybe it's not the worst place to start. Then we get the first, rather then we get Dented Skull in P11, then we get the first of the 2 Ferraris, Shark P12. And as I say that, Shark gets demoted. Shark goes into P13 because Cheddar is on his way through the field. Cheddar up into P12. Then we get Ruan in the second, Alfa Romeo P15, and Convoy making up the field after that early pit stop. At the front, the order remains the same. Rabico, Neil, Midas, Brands P4, Tiago P5. Sim still trying to recover some of the positions he lost at the start of the race. Remember, 2 positions down. But Django P7. And then we get a bit of a gap down to P8, not Shumi. He's followed by Shane, and Shane coming under some heavy pressure from the man who started at the back of the field. Logic looking to make up another position, get himself into the single digits. Shane's going to hold on. It's not going to be that easy. Does he get him around the outside here? Surely not. Thinks better of it. Hopefully there's no contact. That was awfully close. And the internet connection giving me a bit of a fright there. I thought there was contact, but no damage, no contact. Good to see. Just a little glitch. Logic up into P9. He's made up 8 positions now from the start of the race. Top 3 though remain in exactly the same order that they started in. Neil yet to make a move for the lead. Very close behind Rabico, and remember now he's going to get the use of DRS, and that's going to make defending a little bit more difficult. We go Brands and Tiago still P4 and 5, Sim still 6. No major changes in the order since the start. We have Logic, who's obviously on his way up the field. We also have Cheddar, who's on his way up the field. So those are the 2 cars you really want to keep watching. Both drivers with more speed than they know what to do with, finding themselves in unfamiliar territory in the midfield. Lots of work to do. Up at the front though, things remain exactly the same. It's Midas now starting to lose touch with your leaders. P1 and 2 having a little party of their own, just 0.4 of a second covers P1 and 2. P3 now 2.2 seconds down the road. So these 2 seem to be in a league of their own for now. Still waiting to see the true pace of Logic and Cheddar, and we'll only really see that once they've broken through this field. These 2 cars at the, well, Don Rabico has the benefit of driving in clean air. Guys coming through the field, it's not as simple as just going quickly. Every now and then you're going to have to make a pass. And when you got this many cars in front of you, you can't rely on an undercut, you can't rely on the pit stops to do it for you. You're going to have to do most of that work out on the track. Again, the horse gets DRS, thinks about it, just sticks his nose out. Wasn't really a move, more of a... just a little bit of intimidation, just putting the nose in the other driver's mirror, letting him know, I'm here and this is how close I am. Now with DRS he's going to do it. He goes up the inside and Neil takes the lead here in Singapore. Next question is, how long will he be in the lead in Singapore? Because Rabico's not going to let him go. We saw these two at incredibly similar pace in qualifying. And if that translates to the race pace, they should be hassling each other for the rest of the race. It's minus P3 still. 2.2 seconds, still the gap. Tiago causing just a bit of a terrain now. Simps behind him. Followed by Django, Logic and Shumi. So Logic now in the middle of that DRS train. And I think that's why we've also just seen him slow down a little bit on the passes. When you're in a DRS train, you don't really get the benefit of DRS because everyone else has it too. So you can't rely on that extra boost to help you make the pass. You need to get close enough, wait for the mistake and do it on your own. All at the same time, watching your mirrors, because you're just one car in the train. You make a mistake and the driver behind you is thinking exactly the same thing you are. For some reason that wing on the Williams, I keep on thinking it's broken. Simps gets a 3-second time penalty. It's the first time penalty of the evening. That is for track limits. Not necessarily a track you can cut corners on. But there are a few curbs here where you can just get a little greedy. Take too much curb. 3 warnings. You get that penalty. And you really don't want those penalties to start racking up. If you get your 3-second, you want it to stay at that. No more. Once it starts becoming 3, 6, 9, 12. Your order on that timing sheet is not secure until the official results. The other day I watched the driver fight from P15 to P2 only to finish the race in 9th because he had a brilliant drive but accumulated 18 seconds worth of penalties. But these two at the front, they're racing fast, they're racing clean, they're not cutting corners, they have no penalties next to their name, and it's some class driving from Neil and Don Rabico up front. It's minus P3, Brand's still P4, Tiago still P5. No real changes in the order. Everyone sort of driving line astern, waiting for the pit stops to change things up. Logic has made up another position. He's now up into P7. And his next target, the McLaren of Simps, who's carrying a penalty. Remember, only the penalties that are pit lane infringements can be served in the pits. All of these 3-second penalties will be added to your race time. And the worst case scenario is you get a late safety car with approximately 5 laps to go, and anyone with a penalty is going to land up at the back of the field because these guys are just so close. Gap at the front, biggest we've seen in a while now. Almost breaching that crucial 1 second. Obviously the 1 second is crucial. Driver in second will lose the ability to use DRS. If you're able to stay within DRS lap after lap after lap, you can actually be 2 or 3 tenths slower than the car in front of you and still keep up with him with the use of DRS. But once that DRS is broken, if you're 2 or 3 tenths off, well, you're just going to see that car getting further and further down the road. So crucial to keep that gap, and he's done so. He's responded and brought the gap back to just 6 tenths of a second. It's Midas having a lonely race in third place. Thiago also having a little race of his own in fourth. Then Brands, he'd be wishing for a race of his own. He's coming under pressure from Logic, who's looking to make up yet another position. That quali band just firing him up. Thought about the move and then just decided against it. Simps has now left the session, not quite sure what that's about, but the car is ghosting, so hopefully he will be able to return and retake control of that car. That car will start to fall down the order as the AI is set to much slower than what these drivers are capable of. Mercedes has made the move on the Alpine, has claimed the position. Logic up to P5, and soon he's going to be chasing his teammate. At the front though, lap 10 of 31. And Neil continues to lead, and look at the gap, he's broken that crucial DRS. Now he just needs to make no mistakes for the next few corners, make sure that he keeps that gap. But that will not be the case, at least for the next couple of laps, because we're under a full safety car. Ruan has DNF'd. We've lost an Alfa Romeo. Let's just ride with Notsumi, see if we can get any visual on Ruan's car. Doesn't seem like his car is still out on circuit, but it's activated a full safety car, and it's activated a whole lot of pit stops. Lots of people watching the stream. Great to see the support on a Monday night. Obviously, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button and obviously leave a like. For now, race has been neutralized. Everybody, with the exception of one driver, has made a pit stop under that safety car. That one driver is the leader, or your new leader. It's Midas. Obviously started from the back of the field and decided to go with a slightly different strategy. Decided to go on the hard compound. Now the early safety car does just mess things up a little. He would have been coming through the field quite nicely, would have been happy with his time. Now he's going to have a whole field of cars right on his tail with fresher tires. All of them with fresher tires. His next target will be to get it as far up the road as possible, so that when he does come in to get rid of those hards, he can still maintain a reasonable track position. So 2 retirements from this race. We started with 17, we're down to 15. Ruan for Alfa Romeo and Welsh for McLaren. So your 2 retirements. It's Midas leads the way from Neil, Don Rabico P5, Maestro P4. Then we have Logic, second Mercedes in P5, Brands P6, Django P7, Natsumi in P8, then Cheddar, your championship leader, P9, Shane in P10. Then we have Simps, Bifflesfontein, Jacques, and Conboy making up the field, Dented Skull. And while we have a safety car, it's a good opportunity for us to thank our sponsors here at SAFRL Simulator Cave. Obviously, you can gear up for the ultimate racing experience with Simulator Cave, your go-to destination for high-end sim racing equipment. As an official reseller for Moser and Fanatec, they offer top-tier racing rigs and simulator cockpits. Visit simulatorcave.com and elevate your sim racing experience. Thanks to everybody at Simulator Cave. As far as the race goes, nothing has changed. We remain in the same order. Safety car conditions. Natsumi had made a pit stop 3 or 4 laps prior to the safety car, so he did not make a pit stop. It's Midas started on hards and did not make a pit stop. The rest of the field chose to make use of the safety car and do their pit stop. Wondering if the drivers who started on mediums are looking for a one stop, go onto the hard and end it from here. So Midas will be on the opposite strategy of that, probably taking the hards to round lap 20, lap 21, and then jumping onto the softs to finish the race. So he will have the fastest compound at the end. But when the safety car does eventually get out of his way, this will be the next most crucial part of his race. The first most crucial part of the race was getting through the field. Didn't think he was going to be able to do it in the Singapore layout, but somehow there he is. He's in P1. But now when the safety car does get out of the way, he needs to get as far up the road as he possibly can, but it's going to be difficult because Neil and Rabico, they've been their P1, P2 throughout the race. They've got fantastic pace. It's Midas also has fantastic pace, but those tires will be his handicap. More and more people joining the stream. Great to see. Leave a comment in the comment section. Who do you think's going to win this? Give me a podium prediction. Give me a driver of the day prediction. Safety car will come in this lap. You can see Midas now just backing the field up a little bit. Once that safety car enters pit lane, it's Midas effectively takes control of the lead. It's up to him when he goes, and obviously no overtaking before the start finish line. Welcome to Maggot. In the comms section, shout out for Logic in P5. Obviously at the restart he's going to have much fresher tires than this man here, his teammate in P1. Next couple of laps, let's see what this Mercedes-Benz can do on this older tyre. Absolutely important for him not to let the Haas get up the road now. But now, not putting up too much of a fight. Neil goes up into P1. Midas will soon come under pressure from Don Rabico. Tiago, Logic, all there. Massive DRS train. Obviously we don't have DRS just yet. Car of Simps. Still ghosting, so that McLaren will continue to fall down the order. Yeah, there we go, driver of the day prediction. I think that's a pretty easy one, starting from the back of the field. Oh, you're talking about Midas? No, you're talking about Logic. Logic driver of the day, that's the prediction. Having a look at the position changes. 12 positions for F1 Logic, 13 positions for F1 Logic. So if the game's going to work it out purely on overtakes, I think we already have the driver of the day. Considering he can keep everything together. So I think there's everyone is in agreement. Logic should take driver of the day. We're only halfway through this race. Still lots can happen for the time being. Neil leads from Midas. Rabico P3. As you can see, Midas, no pit stops from him just yet. 14 lap old hards. And Neil now taking full advantage of those new tyres. 4 seconds up the road. Q starting to form behind Midas in P2. And your leader will be loving it. Now Logic takes another position up into P3. DRS has been enabled. And I wonder if we'll see a switch from the Mercedes-Benz to very different strategies. If you look at the tyres, Logic on a relatively fresh set of tyres, Midas on a set of tyres that's towards the end of its lifespan. Will we see a switch? Another thing that's important when you do these teammate switches, you've got to understand what the other driver's doing. You don't want to run into each other. And there we go. Logic up into P2, and he knows exactly what he needs to do. Neil got that gap up to 4 seconds. And that gap already coming down, 3.6. Don Rabico looking to infiltrate podium positions. He's currently in P4. The other AlphaTauri had a shocker at the start. Many drivers would have rage quit, but he got on with it, and now he's right behind his teammate. The AlphaTauri's P5 and 6. Don Rabico has lost a few positions. Tiago now up into P3. Ferrari power leading Mercedes-Benz power. Yet the Ferrari power is not in a Ferrari. Where are the Ferraris? Ferraris P8, P10. Buffelsfontein and Jacques. Jacques the only man out on circuit on a set of softs. So he's sort of out of sync with everybody else. The Aston Martin holding on to the final podium position. Shane sets the fastest lap of the race. New set of medium tyres on that Alfa Romeo. Not the best day for Alfa Romeo so far. They've lost one car, the other one down in P14 with a penalty. Neil, the gap started coming down. It got to 3.6. There we go, it's 3.6 again. Logic has clean air. He's got the pace. He's got new rubber. Should be no excuse. But I wonder if when he was caught in that DRS train and Neil was out in clean air all by himself, if that advantage is just going to be one a little too big to close. That comes down ever so slightly between the leaders, 3.4 seconds. That's the driver at the back of the field, Brands. Shane P15, the second Mercedes, has finally pit. Come out on a set of mediums. And he is in P13. Still a lot of work to do for Midas before the end of this race. Thiago coming under all sorts of pressure, and it's not only one AlphaTauri he needs to worry about, there's two AlphaTauris. If he goes too wide into a corner, he might just lose 2 positions. He's going to see double. Don Rabico P4, Cheddar P5. Those are P1 and P2 in your Drivers' Championship, as well as your top performing team in the Constructors' Championship. They're P4 and 5 and looking to get a better result than that. They want to get both cars up onto the podium. They've had such a strong season so far. I don't know if they'd be too happy with that result. Both cars off the podium. Be good for anyone else. Now not Shumi. Coming under pressure. Django P6, not Shumi P7. So many drivers now with DRS just trying to keep track of everything. Biffelsfontein now as well going past Notsumi. Wonder if that Red Bull's got damaged. Doesn't appear so. But Notsumi just falling down the order now. Three-second time penalty goes to Simps. I believe that'll take him up to 6 seconds. The other driver with a penalty is Shane. 3 seconds to him. And I don't know what's happened, but there we go. We have an AlphaTauri down the escape road, and it's Don Rabico. Don Rabico, your championship leader, all the way down in P11. With just 12 laps to go. Would have thought he was entering the closing stages of this race, and now he's got so much to do before the end of this race. Neil leads the way pretty comfortably, 3.3 seconds. And what's also going to help him now is this situation here in P2. Sorry, P3. Thiago and Cheddar. Cheddar's got also some intense speed. He didn't have the best start to the race, but now looking to get into the top 3. He's gotten into the top 3 before turn 1. Nicely done. Haas, Mercedes-Benz, AlphaTauri. Your second AlphaTauri though has fallen down the field, down to P12 for Don Rabico, who's also in the pits now. There we go. That's a very broken front wing. Don't know how we missed that, but a very broken front wing on Don Rabico's car. So if he's going to get a good result out of this race, he's going to have to pray for a miracle, pray for a late safety car, something that can bring him back into this race, bring the field back together. And even if that happens, he's going to have to do some overtaking. One man that doesn't have to worry too much about overtaking right now is Neil. Just needs to keep that car pointing in the right direction. And if he's able to keep that gap above 3 seconds, should have no worries. But still 11 laps to go. And a mistake in Singapore is never far away. Logic giving it absolutely everything, trying to close down that gap. Seems like the drivers are actually of a very similar pace, because this gap of 3, 3.2, 3.3 remaining the same lap after lap tells me the drivers are putting in some pretty consistent pace. They're on the same compound, same age of tyre, so nothing really splitting them. This just comes down to driver versus driver. Thiago hasn't let the podium position go just like that. He's fought back. Cheddar too will fight back. Remember, Thiago's in the top 3, but he's got that medium set of tyres. And as those tyres drop off towards the end, he's going to find himself in a bit of a difficult position. Cheddar still P4. Django P5, having a good race, having a pretty solid race, really consistent. We haven't seen too much of him, but he's been consistently within the top 10, and now within the top 5. Ferraris weren't looking too great earlier on in the race, but the race has really come to them quite nicely. P6 and P9 for the 2 Ferraris. Jacques is on a quickly aging set of softs, so I think we're going to see him come into the pit shortly. Dented Skull, P10. It's Midas. He's had quite the eventful race, now in P11, looking to get himself back up into the top 10. We have pit stops for Jacques, pit stop for Conboy. There is Bifflesfontein. He's approaching the back of a DRS train. And Cheddar doing everything he can. He wants to get into 3rd place now, and the more the laps go by, the more DRS zones go by without you able to make a move, you start to get more and more frustrated. And that's when you really need to be careful, because with frustration comes mistakes. Logic 3.1 seconds, still the gap for the lead. It's coming down, but it's coming down ever so slowly. He's going to want to bring it down a lot quicker than this. Still 8 laps to go in this race. The horse looking comfortable. I was going to say as for the other horse, but we don't have another horse. It's only one horse on the grid tonight, and Neil giving it some really good representation. Cheddar still on the back of Thiago Maestro, looking to get past the Aston Martin. Django in P5, and he's still looking strong at a potential podium all over the back of Cheddar. And Cheddar's in a battle of his own with Thiago up the road. So Django still in podium contention, as is Buffelsfontein, not too far behind. We have Simps, but he has 6 seconds worth of penalties last time we checked. Let's just have another look, still sitting on 6 seconds. Logic has picked up a 3-second time penalty. He finally gets past Thiago, but in the process picks up a 3-second time penalty. We're under safety car. It's Midas is out of this race. See if we can get any sort of view of that Mercedes. Mercedes has disappeared from the track, so we can't actually see what's happened there. But a late safety car, I mentioned earlier on in the stream, if we get a safety car with approximately 5 laps remaining, and that's exactly what's happened. 6 laps remaining, I was close enough. And this could really spice things up. Who's going to make use of this safety car? Come in for a pit stop. If you do come in for a pit stop, you'll be giving away track position. It's a difficult situation to be in. The leader has not yet collected, or the safety car rather, has not yet collected the leader, so the leader still has a bit of time to think about what he's going to do. Logic, Cheddar, all of your contenders for the win here, they'll be thinking, what can I do? What is the gamble? Do I stay out, keep track position? Do I go in, get a fresh set of tires? Of course, if you're the one who decides to keep track position and everyone else goes and gets a fresh set of tires, well, then we have a 2021 finale situation. Neil's not going to put himself in that position, surely. He's going into the pits, as is Logic. Let's keep an eye on Cheddar. Will he throw the dice and go for track position? No, he doesn't. He also into the pits, as does Django. I think everyone just following suit. Get that fresh set of softs on with just a few laps to go. Let the safety car bring this entire field together. And then we're going to have probably 4 or 5 laps to the end of the race. And for those of you in the comment section that are supporting F1 Logic, have a look up at your screens. He may have a 3-second time penalty, but the race may have just swung in his direction. Neil has emerged from the pit lane on a brand new set of mediums. Logic has emerged from the pit lane on a brand new set of softs. Remember, he'll have an extra set of softs because he didn't compete in qualifying. So, puts on that extra set of softs. And Logic, first thing he'll need to do is get past Neil. Second thing he'll need to do is beat Neil by an entire 3 seconds. Otherwise, that penalty will take the race victory away from him. Thiago also a penalty next to his name. Oh, and that's a harsh one. So Django and Thiago picked up 5-second penalties during that pit stop period. And those penalties will definitely hurt those two in the top 5. There we go, lots of support for Logic in the comment section. It's not as if Neil is on old aging tires. He will also have a fresh set of tires, the difference being they're a set of mediums. And really whatever that difference is between softs and mediums, if Logic is able to fully extract all the potential out of that soft compound, but will that 3-second gap that he needs to build prove a little too much? Cheddar's in P4, but he's actually in a very strong position. He could take P2 if the race were to end right now. P2 and P3 both have penalties next to their name, as does P5. So also a good result potentially on the cards for Ferrari. Just waiting outside the top 5. One of the most exciting parts to any Singapore Grand Prix is usually turn 1 at the start of the race. And the safety car is going to give us one more start of the race. As soon as that official announcement comes up on the screen that the safety car is heading into the pits, then Logic will be on full attention. Be following Neil as close as he can. Doesn't want Neil to get the jump on him. Needs to be as close as he can going into turn 1. He'll be thinking of even taking the lead into turn 1. Difficult times when you need to get going again. You're watching your mirrors. Don't want the car in front of you to get the jump on you. Don't want to be caught napping and get the car behind you to get the jump on you. And we're probably going to get just the one more lap behind safety car. We have a Alpine. Seems to be an Alpine at the back of the field, and as soon as that Alpine catches the field, which it will do in the next sequence of corners, safety car will come in this lap. Don't have official confirmation, but I'm pretty sure it will come in this lap, and we will be back underway on lap 28 of 31. So it'll be a 3-lap sprint to the end. While we have another half a lap of safety car to go, just a reminder, SAFRL Monday night, this is Tier 1, Season 5, Round 8 in Singapore. And SAFRL are going to do it all over again on Wednesday night. For Tier 2, same calendar, Singapore. And this week, Tier 2 will be streamed. So, if you're watching us tonight, if you're available on Wednesday, tune in once again, support the channel. Sport Tier 2. They don't get a stream every week, even though they deserve one. Some very, very fast drivers, and some drivers that belong in this tier right here. Everyone saying logic, logic, logic. Neil will not be happy if he's listening to this stream, because nobody's putting too much faith in the Haas driver. And even the commentator is mounting on the pressure. But Logic does have the pace. He does have the right compound. And again, his first task is don't let the Haas get the jump on you. When does the Haas go? The Haas goes now. There we go. Remember, no overtaking till the start-finish line. He's not going to have DRS available for the first few laps, but he's going to get as close as he can. He's going to have superior grip. Remember, superior grip till the end of the race. Now Logic versus Neil, Haas versus Mercedes-Benz. Thiago just a little further back, defending for all he's worth from Cheddar. He's going to lose that position. Yes, he does. Cheddar goes alongside and he goes up into P3. Now the Haas coming under all sorts of pressure. Oh, pushes him a little wide. But Logic, I was going to say, into the lead of this race. Neil comes back. The cars are still side by side. And now, surely now, Logic into the lead of the race on the softer compound. And surely there's no coming back. Neil is going to be coming under pressure from Cheddar. There we go. Maggot. I think Maggot knew exactly who I was referring to. A certain driver in Tier 2 who really shouldn't be there. He should be racing with these drivers right here. Logic, now he's broken the DRS barrier. 1 second is the gap. Remember, he's got a 3-second penalty next to his name. Let's just confirm that hasn't changed. Yes, 3-second time penalty next to his name. It's made up 16 positions since the start of this race. Saying he's going to need 2 quali laps. I don't even think he's going to need 2 quali laps. He's already 1.5 seconds up the road. Dented skull. He was having a good race. Retires from the race in the very latter stages. 29 of 31. It almost hurts more if you retire towards the end than if you have a 1 lap, or rather a lap 1 retirement. I remember once retiring from the penultimate lap of the Chinese Grand Prix in a 100% race. And I was not impressed. I think I would have been a lot happier with a turn 1 crash on lap 1. Logic leads the way. Remember the 3-second gap. The 3-second gap is what's crucial here, not your leaderboard. Your leaderboard can effectively change according to those penalties. So crucial. 3-second penalty. It went up to 2, went back to 1.9, now 2.1. Logic fastest lap of the race. And if Neil has any hope of holding on to this win, he's going to have to pull off 2 very impressive laps here at the end, because the gap's already up to 2.2. Making things a little bit more difficult for Neil. He's now got to defend second place. Cheddar coming all over the back of Neil. And crucially, Cheddar also no penalties next to his name. So this is for track position. Neil versus Cheddar, Haas versus AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri, your constructors, leaders. And Cheddar currently P2 in your Drivers' Championship. His teammate, number 1 in the Drivers' Championship, not having the best night out. P8 for the other AlphaTauri. And at the front, the gap is continuing to grow. But just eking out a 10th here, eking out a 10th there. I'm sure he'd love to grow this a heck of a lot faster. Brands DNFs from the race, our latest retirement. We won't get a safety car because it's so late on in the race. The car will just disappear from our track. Lap 30 of 31, we're down to 12 drivers. Logic leads the way, 2.5 seconds, 2.6 seconds. Lap 31 of 31, we're in the final stretch of this race, 5 kilometers to go, and we'll know who is the winner of this race. 2.7 seconds is the gap between first and second, but effectively, well, 2.8 to 2.9, I think he may have done enough. And if Neil comes under any pressure from Cheddar whatsoever, that should just guarantee the win. Now Logic. Just over the 3-second mark. It looks like a 3.1 second lead. Remember, it's just a lead of 1/10 of a second. If he makes a mistake, if he outbrakes himself, anything, Neil can still win this race from 3 seconds down the road. You'll ride trackside with your leader in the closing stages of this race, and look at that gap. Look at the gap. That's where the real race is. The race is not on track. The race is on that timing screen. 2.8 seconds. Neil might have just pulled this back. Logic now goes around the final corner. I don't think he's done enough. 2.8 seconds, unless Neil makes a serious error, which he hasn't done. Neil takes the victory away from Logic. He got so close, just a tenth of a second between the two at the end. And well done to Haas, well done to Neil. You silenced a lot of supporters tonight. We just await now driver of the day, F1 Logic. I think that one was gonna be quite predictable. Let's go to your official timing screens. There we go. Your results for Season 5, Round 8 here in Singapore. Neil takes the victory, but only by a tenth of a second at the end of the day. Logic P2, what a drive from him. Cheddar P3. Then we've got Buffelsfontein P4, Don Rabico P5. Shark, the first of the second of the two Ferraris in P6. Notsumi P7. Maestro P8. Django P9. And Convoy making up the top 10. On the other side of the top 10, we just had the two cars, Sims P11 with a handful of penalties, and Shane making up the field in P12. As for the rest of your field, they all DNF'd. Those are DNFs for brands in the Alpine, Dented Skull in the Red Bull, Midas in the second of the Mercedes, Ruan for Alfa Romeo, and Welsh was the first of those retirements for McLaren. I want to thank you all. The stream got quite busy in parts. We had quite a few viewers at a stage. I want to thank everybody who joined us. If you haven't left a like on the video, leave a like on the video. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And we'll be back, not next week Monday, we'll be back on Wednesday for Tier 2 here in Singapore. See you then. Thank you all. Cheers.